Towns, welcome to Lawrence, Kansas, man. Good to see. Good to have you here.
Yeah, it's nice to be back. I've been here a few times.
Yeah, we've caught you here when you've come through before, for sure. That song right there was from a live concert you did over in Germany, and the name of the song was Blaze's Blues, and that kind of got me to thinking a friend of ours from down in Austin does some of Blaze Foley's songs. He does Clay Pigeons, among others, and has told me a little bit about Blaze. You want to tell the listeners out there a little bit about that song and maybe a little bit about Blaze Foley?
Well, Blaze was a real compassionate, loving soul who would occasionally get drunk and turn into a monster for a little while, you know.
Yeah,
and plus he preferred to live on the couch circuit, you know, and he lived with my wife and I more than anybody, and really a dear friend, and any kind of underdog Blaze loved. And he covered his lapels and cuffs and hat band and boots and duct tape. So always duct tape around him. And he was a genuine, you know, a step beyond a hippie. And a real good guitar player. When he died, he was working on he had finished a live tape at the Austin Outhouse, which was kind of his home club. And it has maybe 25 songs.
Mm-hmm.
And he got that done before he, you know, ran into the trouble.
Well, I've just heard about him through other people, but the songs that he wrote are really wonderful. I can tell that he was a really good-hearted man who had a lot of insights too. Real good songs. It's good that you and other people are carrying his songs around, and of course you carry quite a few songs of your own around too out there on the road.
That song, Blaze's Blues, like I was telling you earlier, came about. That's Blaze's, close to Blaze's finger-picking style. And a couple of the lines in it are directly from his songs, like 1, 2, 3, and maybe 4. That's from his songs, one of his songs. And it was written on his guitar, which I ended up with. And it wasn't easy to do. He died on Groundhog Day, and there was a record Blue Norther in Texas. And it just so happened I lived in Tennessee at the time. And I had a gig the day before Groundhog's Day in Dallas, and one Groundhog's Day in Austin. So we were headed down there anyway when we got the news.
So you were, yeah.
And it was like, wow, they had to use a backhoe to dig the grave because the ground was just so frozen. And somehow Blaze managed to get buried with the pawn ticket to his guitar in his coat pocket. Right? And this all comes clear the next day. I have a son who lives down there, and real good friends of Blaze's. We had to go back out to the cemetery. They tried to talk to the pawn shop guy who knew Blaze and everything, and I think he knew my son, and he knew Leland and David. And we actually went back out there to, you know, get the pawn ticket, and they just said that was out of the question to exhume somebody. You had to go through you had to go through the state and the, you know, the metropolitan, and it's like, you know, closest any of us ever got to the state is paying gasoline tax, you know. But so we went back to the pawn shop and just kind of begged and bribed the guy. I got the guitar and I had to do a little work to it. Now it sits probably in my house, and I wrote that song on it. So.
You know, there's a lot of folks out there like you and like Blaze that have been on the road for a long time, and one of the things I was kind of wondering is what keeps you going, what keeps you doing this, going from town to town, playing your songs for people. One
big factor is, I suppose, I can't do anything else.
It's what you do.
You know, that's what I do. And plus, I'm real lucky in that I've never, ever regretted it. I think I'm real fortunate in that I found what, you know, I decided I think I can do this a long time ago. I think I can do it. And it's what I want to do. So I blew everything else off me, you know, family and school and money and comfort, and just started.
Well, I know it has its own rewards, and part of the rewards are the people who come out and listen to you.
That
relate
for sure.
to your show.
That for sure. And the traveling. You know.
Yeah, you got around a lot of places now. I hear you're pretty popular over in Europe.
Well, I just love, and the most relaxing thing to me there is the hum of the wheels on the pavement.
Is that right?
You know.
We saw a fella down in Austin here a couple of days ago by the name of Wayne Hancock, a real young guy, and he's got a song, he's got a voice that is just incredible. It reminds you a whole lot of Hank Thompson and Jimmy Rogers and that sort of thing. But I guess he spent most of his young life on the road and was talking about the sound of those wheels and how comforting that is too, and traveling. Well, you've written a song or two. Would you want to?
A lot of people.
Yeah, you do meet a lot of folks, I'm sure.
And the artistic rewards when you finish a song, and you realize, man, that's a good one. That's a keeper. You know, which most men. I have a lot of friends who write a whole bunch of songs. You know, write 10 songs, say, and keep 3. And I tend more to where if I see in the first line or two, I can usually tell if it's not going to be a keeper, then I just throw it away.
You just kind of let it go.
Yeah, so I write 2 and keep 2, or write 3 and keep 3.
You still write quite a bit? Do you still write a lot?
Pretty much comes in flashes. And I'll go for a month or so and on the road or not on the road and not even think about it. And then all of a sudden, 2 or 3. Whatever. And lately, Al, it's gotten to where I've written some that technically and everything you would call good songs, but they're so terrible that...
In what way? I mean, terrible in what way?
Well, just nobody needs to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, poetically, they're like, wow, you know, but, you know, I have, for example, one about child abuse from the first person, right? It's a father talking to, or yelling at his daughter, and it just came from out of the blue, and before I knew it, I had these 4 verses, and I think maybe someday I was living down in Austin for a few weeks at the time. Boy, and I took those verses and just I didn't throw them away, but I gave them to a friend of mine and told him to put them in a drawer somewhere. Old road manager of mine, that I never wanted to see him again.
Well, you know,
stuff like that.
A lot of your
next
songs.
Night, I wrote I've written a couple of lullabies. I have 2, and it was just so far removed from me, that song, that it made me physically ill to write it and to sing it for anybody. You know, if it was real late at night to a real intimate crowd, and you could figure out the right introduction to make, but it's just so hardcore and heavy duty.
How they were gonna.
I can't imagine. And then the next night, out of the blue, comes the prettiest lullaby I ever wrote about my daughter, right? Mm-hmm. And it made me think, boy, I'm glad that I got rid of those other words, because I didn't want the lullaby words and the child abuse words ever to see one another, ever to be together. Like I had to drive back to Nashville, and I realized, man, they're not going to be in the same suitcase. Right? So, I mean, stuff like that. It's fun. It's good exercise. Maybe I might make something of it someday down the road.
Well, I know your songs have touched some pretty dark times and places in me, and I know a lot of your audience, they have as well. And, you know, frankly, I think it's good because it helps you get in touch with some of those places inside you. So it's probably pretty scary business at times singing those songs. I know sometimes. Marie is just a really heart-wrenching song. I spent a lot of time when I was a kid, living in cars and living in relatives' houses. And, you know, we never did live under the bridge or anything like in that song, but that song sure tells me some things, and it's good to hear it, though. It's good for you to be able to to get those words out and let people get in touch with those feelings for sure. And then you sing some.
That song is really easy from the first line to just snap into and become that guy. And maybe Willie's got cut it. Willie Nelson, he really loved it. You know, when he heard it, I'd really like for it to be cut by somebody who, you know, gets heard.
Get it out there to a wider audience.
It'll be on I'm fixing to, when I soon start a new studio record. My last, I've had like a live one, 2 live ones in Europe, and 1 live one over here, so I now have enough songs, so that's kind of my next plan.
Good.
I figure if I keep putting out live records, people are going to think I'm dead.
Pull these tapes out somewhere. Sing a song for listeners out there.
Yeah, let me sing. When you were talking about kind of dark type songs, here's one that I hadn't recorded. That kind of came from, seems like half songs come from outer space or elsewhere and kind of through you. You know, and then a few of them you have to kind of involves a little craftsmanship and all. And this is outer space.
This is an outer space song.
Well, the old woman finally caught me, sneaking around her cave. Her hair looked just like barbed wire, boys, and her smile just like the grave. She asked me, could I stay a while? I said, I believe I better go. She slid her arms around my neck and she sweetly whispered no. It's cold and dark and lonely here, soon enough you'll see. I'm oh so glad you stumbled in, I've been craving company. I cannot stay too long, you know, I left some friends at home. She said, don't you fret about your friends, down here we're all alone. But what about my mother? I can't just leave her there to mourn. You don't have to think about her, just forget you're ever born. But I'll disappoint my father, you know he worked so hard for me. Well, if I have to pay your father back, just send him some misery. Miss, I said, a girl I know, I can't just leave her there to pine. She's still got plenty of men to go, I'm sure she'll do just fine. But what about my little boy? She said, he's just like you. Let a few short years roll by and he'll end up down here too. And her pale green eyes began to glow and she placed her hand on mine. She smiled and said, don't worry, you'll get used to me in time. And as a cold tongue flickered toward my throat, I spun myself around. I made a dive for the passageway, but the walls come tumbling down. And our eyes were the only light my fevered brain could see. But I tore myself away from them and I fell down to my knees. I come too far, I can't get back. I beseeched all the gods of men. All but fame and fortune just laughed at me, and in silence once again. And then a whisper deep within embraced the God of love. And I lifted my face, and through the tears I saw light fall from above. Well, I hurled myself into the wall. I ripped and clawed my way through the clinging, stinking loam back to the light of day. Well, I crawled out into the wind again with the sky upon my face. I heard the earth sigh patiently as it slid back into place. Now I'm back among the ones I love, and I'm loved by them in turn. And it's only on the darkest night that green-eyed memory burns. So walk, my friends, in the light of day. Don't go sneaking around no holes. There just might be something down there wants to gather up your soul.
Yeah, it sure feels good to be living when you've been in one of those dark places, don't it?
I usually refer to that as, here's a song you don't hear every day.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know, a lot of your songs are pretty darn close to the blues.
Well, I learned a lot from, and I've always had that kind of outlook. But, you know, Hank Williams and Lightning Hopkins. And plus it got to where even my funny songs are kind of, you know, a little, you know. So that's why I wish I do less and less, but throw in a joke or a story every so often. But I am doing it less and less. I have to watch it real close.
Well, did you listen to a lot of that when you were growing up? Then people like Lightning Hopkins and Hank Williams, yeah.
On the you know, and Lefty Frizzell and the kind of the original in the way country music was.
Mm-hmm. Was that down in Texas? Did you grow up in Texas, or did you grow up? Yeah.
And
that's some great
a little
music
bit in
down
Montana. My dad was in the oil business, so we traveled, but you know, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to ride with him a lot to different oil fields.
So you got to,
you know, on the radio it'd always
earlier.
be on, you know, and it'd always be Hank Williams or Lefty Frizzell.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first. And then kind of in high school, I started listening to jazz. And, well, before, in between there was Elvis, when Elvis came on the Ed Sullivan show.
You caught the fever, huh?
Yeah, I was about 9, and I watched it with my older sister and her two girlfriends. Boy, I was watching Elvis, and I was watching their reaction to Elvis.
Yeah.
And all of this just fused in my little brain. So
did you want to be Elvis Presley then?
It's like, maybe I need a guitar. Right? That was my first thing. Right? I remember that exactly. And I asked my dad and Christmas was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, I think you could probably get one if you promise to learn Fraulein. You know the old song, Fraulein?
Yeah, Lefty Frizzell.
And I got one, and I did. It's one of the first songs I ever learned. But then in high school, I started listening to jazz and then mostly the blues. And that's where I ran into, because I just pretty much strummed the guitar up till then. And from listening to Lightning, who I got not too long after to meet, it was real. I was looking at him as some kind of icon or something. I'd listened to it so much.
Well, he sure is, actually. Yeah. He really is.
Mm-hmm. But he was also walking, talking, gin drinking in the flesh, weird bird. I bet.
Yeah, I've noticed some of your licks, especially where you run up the neck there, kind of reminds me of what a slide blues guitarist might do.
Well, those all came.
You're pulling those individual notes out of what they do on the slide.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of seems like, you know, you generalize everything looking back, but it seems like I mostly picked that up from Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Took a giant step in the guitar playing. I'm still, you know, I play guitar pretty well to accompany my songs. Right, and I have some great guitar stuff with some of my songs, you know, and sometimes the guitar music even comes first, you know. But when it comes to somebody saying, let's play this one in B, or whatever. I'm just kind of, where's the capo? I mean, Eric Clapton or any studio picker, you know. I'm not, but I can play my own songs and a few others really good.
Well, you do a lot of your shows by yourself, but on your albums you get a lot of really wonderful accompanists. I'm sure there's no shortage of people who enjoy playing your songs, and as a matter of fact, a lot of people are picking up and recording your songs as well.
Seems my wife is having a lot to do with that. She runs the tries to get cuts and stuff like that. Yeah, it all seems to be going pretty well.
Kind of put the business into things together, keep the business into things.
We have her and a music lawyer and a booking agent. And between all of them, my job is to...
You're taking care of it.
Try to play the guitar and try to write songs. And that's it.
Where you settled at?
I know an embarrassing little about the music business. You know.
Well, you're pretty fortunate to be able to have good people to help you out and take care. Because I've known people in different art fields, including music, who it's really a quandary for them, because you either have to get the business in together and neglect the art side of what you're doing, neglect the creative side of what you're doing, or the other. And there's very few people who are able to keep up on top of both of them. So.
There's a few.
Yeah, there are. There
not
are.
Very many.
But you sure have to be.
Linda and Robin Williams come to mind. You know, they're so this combination of dedicated and level-headedness, you know, and talent both directions.
And then giving it over to somebody else too can cause you a whole lot of heartaches and problems too. So, well, I'm glad good fortune smiled on you and you have good people helping you out with that business into things, so that you can bring your songs.
You know, to make a living at what you chose to do. I consider myself real, you know, it's just a combination of a little touch of artiste, big touch of lazy, right, and a big touch of
I want to do what I want to do, and not what everybody else wants me to do.
I want a job that takes an hour a day.
You've been at it for a lot of years.
But on the road, it's more like 18 hours a day.
Is it?
You know, and sometimes 20 hours a day.
That's long hours.
Like
just about your whole life is wrapped up in getting around and doing
the
gigs,
airport,
isn't it?
or the drive, or the sound check, the hotel, and you might have come from who knows where. But once it's 8:30 or 9, and the people are there, you know, it's not. I mean, they don't know about that and shouldn't, you know. They paid money for the music. So for those 2 hours, you're like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And just try to get back to the hotel before 3, you know, 3 hours of sleep. You're out there. They set those tours up to where there's no time for laundry, 0. No time to eat, except backstage, which means ham and cheese sandwiches.
Whatever they have to feed you.
It gets like, wow, somebody... You know, where I draw the line is music stores. It's like, if I don't get to a music store, right, well, I guess we could do that. I guess we ought to, or, you know, be using coat hangers for strings.
Were you having a pretty relaxing time around Lawrence?
Oh, yeah. It's nice to be here. I know the area right around the Eldridge Hotel. Real good. About 2 blocks in either direction.
Well, it's a good town, and there's a lot around downtown. Why don't you play us another song, and then I tell you, I could sit here and talk with you all day, but I'm going to have to clear out of here for some rockabilly folks. It is. The station supports a lot of good music too. I'm really glad to be doing the show here and associated with it. So after you play the song,
a whole bunch of places have no station like this.
Yeah,
bunch of places.
Yeah, radio kind of helps keep it all alive. Okay.
Let's see, I'll play it.
Well, I got a request for you. If you feel like you can take just about anything,
sure,
that might come your way. Snowin On Raton. Have you done that one for?
I haven't done that for a while.
Yeah.
When the wind don't blow in Amarillo, and the moon along the gun, the sun don't rise, shall I lay my dreams upon your love, babe, and lie beneath the laughter of your eyes? Well, snowing on Raton. Come morning, I'll be through them hills and gone. Well, mother thinks the road is long and lonely. Little brother thinks the road is straight and fine. Oh, darling thinks the road is soft and lovely. I'm thankful that old road's a friend of mine. Well, snowing on Raton. Come morning, I'll be through them hills and gone. Oh, bid the years goodbye, you cannot still them. You cannot turn the circles of the sun. Or you cannot count the miles until you feel them. And you cannot hold a lover that has gone. Oh, snowing on Raton. Come morning, I'll be through them hills and gone. Well, tomorrow the mountains will be sleeping, silent neath a blanket green and blue. Oh, but I shall hear the silence they are keeping, and I'll bring all their promises to you. Oh, snowing on Raton. Come morning, I'll be through them hills and gone. Well, snowing on Raton. Come morning, I'll be through them hills and gone. Come morning, I'll be through them hills and gone.
Thank you, Towns. Thank you kindly.
Thanks. My pleasure.
Yeah, there's not many people who can pack so much truth and beauty into a song. It's amazing. It's just, it's wonderful. Well, you know, I have a lot of really fine listeners out there. There's people that call me all the time who really appreciate the songs and songwriting, and there's quite a number of songwriters out there. I thought I'd give one or two people an opportunity to call up here and ask a question. And I won't be able to put them over the air or anything of that sort, but I can go ahead and relay their question or just so. The telephone number up here is 864-4747, and I'm going to take the first two callers who'd like to call up and pass a question along to Towns here and have him answered. So anybody out there who wants to call up, it's 864-4747.
I was going to say, if nobody calls, you have to buy me a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'll do that for sure. Yeah. Well, I tell you, they might have kind of taken people by surprise. Well, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. If we happen to get a question here before you have to slide on out of here, that's fine. And actually, we probably should wrap it up. I know that you probably got a lot to do. I know there's someone out here from KKFI, and I'd like to get a chance to talk to you. And KKFI is another one of those real fine radio stations around here. Barry and I helped put that station on the air, and
that's nice.
Does some good things. So, tell you what, I'll let you go ahead and slide on out of here. And
okay. If anybody calls later, you just answer for me.
Yeah, all right. I'll just make it up. Well, Towns, thank you very much. I'm sure looking forward to this evening's show. And there's a lot of people around here who are.
Where is it? It's a theater type? See, nobody ever tells me.
Yeah, it's called the Lawrence Community Theater. And it's a pretty small place, pretty intimate place, maybe 125 people or so, and really good acoustics. Robin and Linda Williams, as a matter of fact, last time they were through, played there.
Is it a joint or a theater?
It's a theater, yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And plus I heard somebody else is playing, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of really fine local musicians here, and Bill Crahan is just a splendid guitarist, and got a telephone call here for you. Just a second, caller. I'll be with you in just a second. Yeah, Bill Crahan is a fine guitarist and pianist, and Lisa Harris sings with a lot of different ensembles around here, and they do a lot of people's music as well. Some things they write themselves, and I always enjoy listening to them. I'll go out and hear them whenever I get a chance. So they're going to open up for you this evening. Let's take this phone call. Hello, KJKH. Hello. Howdy. Yeah. Doctor, good doctor? Okay, I'll ask him that. We got a caller who would like to know if there's a story behind the song Dr. Good Doctor, Towns.
Well, I don't know the song, Dr. Good Doctor. It might be a line. I can't think.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is a line in a Guy Clark song.
Oh, yeah, it's that song is called the Talking Psychiatrist Blues or something.
Yeah,
something. Doctor. Da-da-da.
Yeah.
Right. The guy tells me that song came from one time I felt like, I was correct, but I felt like I was going really nuts. And I've been nuts before. But the thing to do, my friends decided up in New York, was for me to go to this real high-class shrink, which I did. And I figure, well, I'm in this office on 68th Street, here's this guy, Dr. Van something, Von something, three-piece suit, and a little beard, exactly trimmed beard, and a notepad, and there's a couch, a leather couch, and the whole works, right? And I'm a hippie from Texas, and I'm laying there. And I decided, well, I'm just going to open my heart and soul to this doctor.
Tell him what.
Because that's why I'm here, and I'm sure it's going to cost somebody something. And it ended up costing me something, of course. But boy, I sat there for like an hour, 45 minutes, and told him my deepest, darkest, most depressed fears and anxieties and everything I could think of pertainable to being me, and this, that, and the other. And boy, it just wore me out. I finally finished, and he'd been real quiet, listening real attentively, taking notes. I finally finished, and I go, well, Doc, that's about it. That's all I can think of to say. He looks at me, he says, Mr. Van Zandt, do you have any health insurance? Right? I just like, gee, let me out of here. Right? But it did feel good to get all the terrible black stuff off my soul. But I might as well have been talking to a stump. Do you have any health insurance?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Well, do you have health insurance? Is it paid up?
I know what it's like.
Well,
except for me.
I was taken so far back, I didn't even,
Except for me, what they did is they set me down and found out if I had health insurance before they'd even talk to me, It's like Guy Clark's song says, though, I'm okay and you're okay if the check's okay.
Yeah, the point of that story was I told Guy that story.
Yeah.
And he's told me since that that Doctor, Dear Doctor, I think that's Rolling Stones, right? Well, whatever it is.
But that comes from that experience.
You're not sure you're scared of being scared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard the song a million times. But he told me that comes directly from me telling him that little story.
Well, I want to thank the caller for calling that in. That was a pretty good question.
It's always fun to think about Guy and that weird Dr. Von, what you call it. Well, and plus, it seems like after you tell somebody all those deep down secrets, and how close to the edge of just blackout depression you are, and then to have them start sending you a bill for $160. And the only thing I remember him saying, I mean, it was, nothing happened except I took up 45 minutes of his time, and then a couple of weeks after that, I got this bill for $100, which I didn't pay. Finally, somebody paid it. I'm sure it was me at some account. Somebody paid it for me. But I just couldn't see paying it. And then this is supposed to be a compassionate, beautiful doctor of psychology. And the first thing he did was turn it over to a collection agency. Who's this poor, depressed guy who's like barely making it through life from what he must have thought. Yeah. He's got collection agencies on him, right?
It's pretty darn weird, I tell you. It's pretty darn weird.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the story, and thanks for the songs, and
well, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure being here, seeing the operation.
I'm going to put on some music here from Threadgills down there in Austin, a song that Sarah Elizabeth Campbell sings, and play some more music for people. The rockabilly folks are going to be sliding in here in about 10 or 12 minutes, so need to start clearing things out here, but it really has been a pleasure. Yeah. Thanks very much, Townsend.
Good seeing Lawrence.
Okay.
Would you mind playing a song? I'll let you.
I have to get. Well, I guess I can. Request.
How about You Are Not Needed?
Okay. Is it running?
Yeah.
You're gonna edit it a little bit?
Yeah.
Let me all that sickness part.
Oh yeah. Don't worry.
Well, I wrote this song. It's called "You Are Not Needed Now," and I wrote it about Janis Joplin, who is a acquaintance of mine. Not a long time knowing friend or anything, but met her a couple times. We both did the same thing. Let's see. We're talking all at once, and the old man mowing down his lawn. He didn't look like much too bad a guy. I was thinking, hang on, man, something's wrong. Your blues, they do seem to be gone. Heaven ain't bad, but you don't get nothing done. Lay down your head a while. You are not needed now. You are not needed now. Well, Allison laid an egg on me every time I turn around. It's swimming through the air above my bed. And I told Miss Hicks, and she said, fine, as long as you're back in your room on time. I'll keep you clean and the girls will keep you fed. Lay down your head with mine. You are not needed now. We got things to do. Well, between the blankets made of wool, trains roll by every half an hour. Nobody can't get no resting done, it's true. So I spend my time as best I can, thinking big and making plans, wondering where them trains are rolling to. Lay down your head, poor boy, feel how the ground does move, hear how them drivers sing. Well, goodbye, friends, it's time to close. Everybody knows that's the way it goes. Where was it you lived in case I'm ever there? Well, 3 doors down and 2 behind. Oh, it gets a little bit out of hand sometimes. Don't let it fool you into thinking you don't care. Lay down your head and fly. I'll quietly pass you by.
won't even see me go. Well, if I thought about it long enough, I just might make some kind of move. Watchful eyes are too hard on the soul. But with the smokehouse just across the way, and this fog upon the light of day, I'd be hard put coming up with where to go. Lay down your head, poor boy, feel how the ground does move, hear how them drivers sing. What now, my darling one? Go find a little fun. You are not needed now.
Thank you. It's one of my favorites.
Well, thanks. One of mine, too.